Continuing with the lesson for Unit 4, Day 31, Contextualizing Elizabeth I. So how did we get to Queen Elizabeth I's speech to Parliament in 1601, in which she seems to be talking about absolute monarchy in a very different way than we saw it expressed by Louis XIV, when he supposedly declared, "L'État c'est moi," I am the state. As we have seen throughout all of the topics that we have studied in this course, there is never just one direct cause for a historical event or change. Instead, many forces contribute to cause change in history. We can track some of the forces as distant, starting a long time before, while other forces are more immediate, happening in the recent past. But it is also not enough to simply understand the temporal timescale of the forces. To better understand how a major change came to be, such as the changes that we see reflected in Elizabeth I's speech to Parliament in 1601, we should also categorize the forces as specifically as we can. The Contextualization Tool supplies us with useful language to make those categories. Specifically in this lesson, we will categorize the distant and immediate forces as political and cultural/intellectual. Remember that political forces include changes, pressures, and structures that impact how government is organized and who holds and uses power. Cultural/intellectual forces include ideas, belief systems, and ways of looking at the world. Next, for the independent work section of this lesson, you will read 2 tertiary and 1 primary source that highlight the political and cultural/intellectual forces, both distant and immediate, that contributed to making the context in which Queen Elizabeth I ruled. Before you read, think about words, terms, and phrases that are associated with political forces, such as government, royalty, power, rule, law, and taxes. Then, think about words, terms, and phrases that are associated with cultural/intellectual forces, such as religion, specifically the Catholic Church, Pope, Reformation, Protestantism, doctrine, and rights. As you read the sources, annotate for these forces using the annotation key below. Please highlight political forces in blue and cultural/intellectual forces in yellow. With our first 2 tertiary sources, please make sure to note the italicized background information at the top and the glossary on the right, which includes keywords and phrases that are defined. Then we get to the second of the tertiary sources. Again, make note of the background information and the glossary. And finally, we get to the primary source, The First Act of Supremacy by Henry VIII of England. Again, please note the background information italicized at the top and the glossary defining keywords and phrases on the right.